This is Midrash Tanchuma, Parshat Ballak, entitled The Jew Hater's Fatal Flaw.
There's a lot been said recently about anti-Semitism. I think there's something very insightful here in the Parsha. Now, the Parsha says something in a conversation between Balak and Bilam, which is quite preposterous. You have actually Balak trying to build up Bilam's ego, and he says to him, Ki yadati es asher tevarech mevorach v'asher ta'or ya'or. I know that who you will bless will be blessed, and who you curse will be cursed. Now wait a second, doesn't that sound familiar? Isn't that the power that God gave to the Jewish people? Yishtachu lecha b'nei amecha orecha or morech baruch. Isn't that what Avram's power was? So how could they even think of cursing the Jewish people when we are sort of curse-proof? So what's interesting is, if you look at a Midrash carefully, there is an approach that they took. Let me read it to you. It says, Vayar Balak ben Tzipor. Mao Vayar, what did he see? Ra Paranios, Ha'itida Lavo al Yisrael. He saw future bad tidings that came to the Jewish people, all kinds of troubles. V'sonov hayoyoter misonim. Shekulum hayu ba'im b'milchamot v'shibud shemicholu lamod b'hem. He hated the Jews more than those in the future who hated him, because they only tried to subjugate us, and they tried to, war against us. But we could, at the end of the day, survive that, even if we took many casualties. He wanted to something more along a final solution. So in those words of the Midrash, you actually see that what is it that Bilam he was just saying, I'm going to do a better job than they did? Or perhaps he was saying, the Jews are perpetual sinners. They're always bringing upon themselves problems, and God has to use other nations as a whip to punish them. And yes, it's only been wars and subjugation, but I want to take advantage of the fact that they may not be in such good standing with God because they're perpetual sinners. So that begins to formulate a theory of anti-Semitism, that people look at the Jews and say, you're not living up to your own standards of your own God. That's why I hate you. Now that may sound preposterous. Let me bring you three more examples. One of them is from Nebuchadnezzar. This happens when Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were thrown in the pit at the time of Nebuchadnezzar. And of course, there was a miracle happened. And then something strange happened. The people were watching. A lot of kings and royalty were watching. And they all saw the miracle of them surviving, and they started to spit at them and covered them with spit, because they said as follows: Atem yadatem shelokechem osen nisim v'falot ka'ele. You are aware that you have a God who could do such wonders and miracles like this. Ugaramtem latzmachem lachriv et beito, and you cause your own Bet HaMikdash to be destroyed through your sins? How could you be so disrespectful to such a powerful God that could save the three of you from it's an outright miracle? Threw you in a furnace and you survived, and yet you, the Jewish people, sin against such a God? Unbelievable. So their hatred of the Jew was because we sin against our own God. The next example I'm going to bring you is something I saw from Tuvia Singer. He's talking about a famous remark that the Muslims have in the Quran, that the Jews are called apes. And he says, you got to take it in context. The Jews are actually called apes because they violate the Shabbat. The last example I'm going to bring you is from someone who was a terrorist named Tamari. He was in an Israeli jail. The Israelis sort of rehabilitated him because he started to talk about making peace and seeing the folly of his ways. And then the night before he was going to be released, it was Pesach night, he saw the Israeli guard eating bread. He said, "What are you doing?" And the guard said, "I don't believe in that nonsense that happened thousands of years ago." And when the terrorist heard that, he instantly relented on everything he had told the Israelis. Now, they didn't know this and they released him, but when he saw that the Jews don't respect their own religion, he decided, they have no right to this land. Why do I have to make peace with them? They lost their privilege. They're eating chametz on Pesach. So here you have 4 examples of Jew hatred coming from the fact that we are habitual sinners. And is that the answer? Is that one answer? It's a tough one. You know, there is, of course, the opinion that Hasina is like Sinna. There is a jealousy. There is a hatred of the morality that we're bringing. Even Hitler said that. But here's another one you want to throw out there because it's right in the Parsha. Have a great Shabbos.